Hi there, this is Matt at State of Flux, here with a review for Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country. This is my second favorite Star Trek movie, and in all honesty, in a lot of ways, one of the most underrated entries. Like, most people like this one, but I don't think it ranks as high as it ought to for most people in the Star Trek pantheon of discussion. This is a movie made by Meyer, who directed Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, and guided Star Trek IV's screenplay to some extent as well. And he really brings a lot of great work to this film. This is a political thriller just set in the Star Trek universe, and it brings sort of context and an understanding to how we go from the animosity that Starfleet had with Klingons in the original series to Worf in The Next Generation, who does his grandfather, makes a cameo in this movie, played again by Michael Dorn. But the way that unfolds in this film, and how Kirk's hatred of the Klingons is layered into the story, and how prejudice is explored and whatnot, is done so incredibly thoughtfully. This is the most intellectually stimulating Star Trek film without question. And it all comes down to that screenplay. An incredible tenseness that this movie has is like super incredibly inspiring. Shatner is possibly giving his best performance ever in this film. He is so good, especially when he's confessing his open racism, or I guess speciesism, towards the Klingons, and holding all of them accountable for the one Klingon who murdered his son. They're all bad because one did a bad thing. And that hatred is so palpable. But the fact that Spock urges him to be the one to guide this peace treaty and bring the Klingons into the Federation because of what Kirk represents and how much he has done and how far he's gone. And Kirk being open and receptive to that only because Spock is Spock and the relationship that they have. But privately he issues these confessions of hatred towards the Klingons. In a powerful speech, again, excellently performed by Shatner. And then when the crew meets Chancellor Gorkon, the Klingon Chancellor, and they have a very sweet kind of interaction. It's hostile, but quietly so. There's that bridge that's trying to be built between them, and the Chancellor recognizes it, and even Kirk recognizes it, but the rest of the crew can't really get on board with setting their prejudices aside. Until the moment that Chancellor Gorkon, back on his own ship, gets assassinated by two Federation members. And it's this point that Kirk and Bones go to try and save the Chancellor, are unable to do so because Bones has no idea about the physiology of a Klingon, is unable to bring this man back to life, and the Chancellor's dying words is, "Don't let it end this way, Captain." And Kirk is left imprisoned and set up as the assassin of the Chancellor at the moment of peace. And then what unfolds is a fascinating film where Spock and the crew of the Enterprise are trying to unravel the plot of how somebody from the Federation assassinated the Chancellor to actively prevent peace and keep stagnation between these governing nations. And it's so captivating. And you have a score that is very understated. When I first watched the movie, I kind of criticized the score. The scores of these films is something I haven't really talked about. James Horner, I think, had his best score ever with Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. It has movement, it has life, it has adventure, it has excitement, it has weight, it has pathos, it is perfect. And he brings that energy again to Star Trek III: The Search for Spock. Star Trek IV had a fun, flighty little score. This one has a very muted score. It's very tonal, very bum, 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 bum kind of thing. And it's just there to kind of pull you along. And it's so understated you don't notice it. But upon further viewings, it's that score that guides you emotionally into the film. It ropes you and yanks you into the mystery at hand for you to try to figure out and resolve who is the one responsible for setting up Gorkin's death. And if you haven't seen the film, I'm not going to spoil that for you. However, I will say this. The director's cut of this film adds in little flashback scenes done in sepia tone that I think really help sell and land the whodunit nature of the film much better than the theatrical cut, though both cuts are near perfect films. The only problem with the director's cut is it's not in high definition, so you have to pick and choose here, people. But this film is, as I say, Star Trek at its finest. With excellent performances from Shatner, from Leonard Nimoy, DeForest Kelley as Bones. Like, they all were in this film kind of knowing that this was their swan song. Like, they didn't even necessarily think they would be back for this film, so this was just kind of gravy to the story that they've told and really developed a solid endgame for these characters, where they need to go, and everybody gets a great shining moment. And I really love where they land ultimately with the Kirk character, how he does grow, how he learns to move past prejudice and understand and see individuals as individuals and not a collective, and that how that is so important, and how the Chancellor kind of helped to teach him that, and how he kind of listened to Spock when Spock couldn't get through to him earlier in the story. I will say the movie does have about a 15-minute dead zone where, for almost no reason other than they didn't really want Kirk out of the story for too long, Kirk and Bones go to an ice planet where they're imprisoned by the Klingons, and that stuff is the film's weakest point and the only thing that keeps it from being a perfect 4-star film, even though I think I am going to ultimately land on the 4-star film. At the prison planet stuff is the moment you get up and hit the restroom, folks. I digress. This film also features some young talent in the forms of, like, Kim Cattrall, who has a strong presence. Her character was supposed to be Savick returning, however, they couldn't get the original actress back, and either Kirstie Alley or whoever played her in 3 and 4, I can't remember your name, I am so sorry, you deserve better than that. So they just redesigned the character into a new one in this film, and it's fine, it works. I think it would have landed better if it was Savick, because of the journey that character goes on in this film. It would have helped have that recognition factor. Clearly the script had that in mind, and with that absent, the only recognition factor you have is like, hey, I know her from Sex and the City. So there's that. Christian Slater also has a small role in this film, and that's pretty cool. Chancellor Gorkin is the performance there is so good. I love that actor. He is so good, and his passing last year was one of the saddest things to me that really hit me hard. His performance in this, time after time, and of all things, Scream 2. He has one scene in Scream 2. It's my favorite scene in the entire movie. And it's a scene that in a lesser film would have just been lifted right out of the film, between him and Neve Campbell just discussing drama, the nature of drama, why we act, and what's important, and he just plays it so well. Just a beautiful man, excellent actor, and a sad loss that we have with him not being here performing anymore. He's also known in Titanic and Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze and stuff like that. He was a gem of an actor in all these great kind of British dramas, but genre fair films. As I say, I loved him in this one. But it's the final scene of this movie that is the most touching. When Kirk has to finally do his final sign-off, having bridged peace, which at one point none of them thought possible or plausible, even himself. And we go through the motions of having watched this character from such a young age, 30 years prior, to now he is an old man ready for retirement. This was his final mission. And he signs off in such a beautiful way, where when planning to set course, what does he say? Second star to the right, and straight on till morning. Because that is who Captain Kirk is. He is the ever-child. He is the ever-young presence. He is the Peter Pan within all of us, who wants to stay young. They made an entire movie about it in Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. And I said during my review for that I think it was a disservice that they ever brought Spock back. But having brought him back in the third movie onwards, I'm okay with, because of his impact on this film and how he guides it. And if that had really been the series finale, as some people thought it might be when they were making Star Trek II, we never would have gotten this, or any of the number of great things to come, like Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, any of the modern stuff that you can pick and choose whether or not you like or have vitriolic hate for. But I digress. This acts as the next kind of series finale to Star Trek, and I love it. This is a 4-star movie from me, even though I do recognize there's 10 minutes of questionable quality in the film where they visit Hoth for some reason, and there you have it. But I love it. You will notice that I skipped a review for Star Trek V, The Final Frontier, and it's not because I'm dismissive of that film. I think far too many people are. I do care to discuss it, but this isn't the place for it. Star Trek VI fits firmly in the quadrilogy of Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, Voyage Home, Undiscovered Country. This is the capper, the end of the mini-series, if you will, of features that would lead us into the next generation. Star Trek V has a place, and I will get to it, but it's not going to be for several weeks from now. The next review that you will get from me Star Trek-wise will be for the Next Generation as a series. And as I said before, I'm only discussing, at least in this early stages of, strictly speaking, the Enterprise of it all. I'm following the journey of the Enterprise from Captain Kirk's first mission all the way to Picard's last. And we will get back to Star Trek V when I feel it's ready, where I would plop it in the timeline, because I don't think it fits between 4 and 5, or 4 and 6. I just don't. I think it fits much better later on, but we'll get there eventually. It'll be a couple of weeks before I get through my rewatch of Next Generation, but you can expect that video in about 2 to 3 weeks here, give or take, and I look forward to engaging with you guys then. Engage. Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Let me know what you think of this film in the comments down below. Where would you rank it amongst the original 6 films? As I say, I put it as a firm second, but I would even put it as a firm second between all, 13 films that they have right now? 13? Yeah, 13 films. Now, I'd put it at number 2. Where do you put this one? Thanks for watching, like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Peace.